Happy Monday. We are January 11th. I'm just going to move this a little bit. There we go. The camera angle changed as soon as we went live. So I am Jazz from Mystic Priestess School, living and leading with intuition. This is a place to be if you want to learn to really use your intuition to lead your life and find more flow, more joy, more abundance in every aspect of your life. This is me, and in the back here snoring away is my dog Maya. So, what we want to talk about today is your word of the year and how having a word of the year can really change your life. It can change your experience of life. It can be that beacon through your year to help you really stay on path. One of the things that my students tell me when they work with me is that when they're with me, they feel like they're on path. They feel like they're really progressing towards their goal, towards their achievement. And one of the tools that we use is the word of the year. This is a technique that I've been using for many, many years. And it really helps me focus my energy, focus my intention, and make choices in my life that are in alignment with what I want to experience. Because Gemini brain here, I'm interested in all the shiny objects out there. I want to try everything. I want to learn everything. I want to experience everything with my mind. And that can bring a whole lot of confusion. It can bring a lot of, it can be draining in terms of my energy because I can just fill my mind with so much stuff, but it's like junk food sometimes. So when I have the word of the year, I apply the word of the year like a filter before I choose. Do I really want to invest my time and energy into this? Do I really want to invest my time and energy in that? And then I can make a decision that is more grounded and more aligned with what I really want, as opposed to filling myself with kind of junk food energy. Does that make sense? If that makes sense to you, please let me know. Give me an emoji down there in the comments. Let me know you're here. Let me know where you're from, where you're watching from, because I do like having some interaction and not feeling like I'm just talking to myself. All right, so let me know you're here. Let me know if that resonates with you. So, word of the year. What is that? So, is it like a resolution? Is it like an intention? Is it, qu'est-ce que ça mange en hiver? Is what we would ask in French. Like, what does it eat in winter? So, the word of the year is more precise. It's very concise. It's just one word. It's not two words. It's not a phrase. It's not like a whole sentence, certainly not a whole paragraph. Your word of the year is one word. So you have to be very disciplined in choosing only the one word. Why it's different than an intention? It's because you use the word of the years really like a tool, to like a filter, like I mentioned. It's to make all of your life's decisions. So it's very simple. The word has a lot of emotions behind it as well. It has some reasoning. It has your soul that's aligned to it. So it's just more simple. So simple. It's not a resolution, because oftentimes a resolution comes from believing that we need something that's outside of us to be happy or to achieve a goal. And oftentimes, like, how many people really have a New Year's resolution and they keep it for the whole year, right? Can you really raise your hand for that one, that you set resolutions and you keep it for the whole year? 90% of people set a New Year's resolution and they bail out on it, sometimes in a week, sometimes in a month, sometimes in 3 months. And then life stuff happens, shit hits the fan, and resolutions out the window, right? So those are resolutions like, oh, this year I'm really going to go to the gym, or this year I'm really going to take care of my nutrition. This year I'm going to do this, and this is a year for that. Some people do achieve it, but like almost 90% of the people, and look into your own life too, like how many years have you actually achieved your resolution? Resolutions are often something that's outside of us that we think that we should do, that we might feel pressured into doing, or that we want to do, but like it's not super aligned. You're not really feeling it. You're not feeling the motivation. so you don't stick to it. So that's why I don't set New Year's resolutions. Doesn't work for me. It feels more like a should. It feels like an obligation. It feels um, like there's just so much that I need to change in my life in order to have that goal of that resolution. So it's not a tool that works for me. If it works for you, fine, keep doing it. It just doesn't work for me. And I know that it doesn't work for my clients. It doesn't work for 90% of the people. Intentions. An intention is different than a resolution because a resolution is an action, right? An intention is a mental energy. It's something that you think about. So my intention is to have greater health. I have greater health. Well, that's great, but how are you going to achieve that greater health? Right? There's no action that's really attached to that. So you might meditate on your intention, you might feel into your intention, you might magically call in your intention, but there's no action associated with that. So that too is incomplete. Too many people, especially in the spiritual sector, we spend so much time in meditation and thinking about things and wishing for things to happen. But when we don't take action, it doesn't manifest, right? If you want more information on that, I do have videos on the 3D, the 4D, and the 5D and how they have to work together. So an intention is at the mental level, meaning that it's at the 4D. That alone is not enough. So now the difference between that and a word of the year is that a word of the year, you understand that is a filter to help you make your life's decisions. So how does that work? So do you choose your word or do you let your word choose you? For me and for a lot of people for whom the word of the year really work, we kind of allow the word to emerge. We allow the word to choose us. So that is done through a meditation process. It's also done looking at your archetypes. So if you wonder what that is, reach out to me. Let's book a session because all of the different, your soul archetypes, the way that you are meant to experience your life, there's a series of words there that you can choose from. But most of the time, it's a meditation that I can guide you through, and then that word emerges for you. Maybe you already know what that is. It's something that you want to feel, something that it comes from your soul, really. So it's a word. So yes, it's mental. It's at the 4D, but it's also a word that is like that lighthouse, the light guiding your every step, every choice, every decision. So what that looks like, for instance, my year last year was nourished. And I received that word after meditation and I felt into in 1 year, how do I want to feel? Like how would I describe this, spiritual, this body, this mental, like everything, it's holistic. How would I describe that feeling? And to me, the word was nourished. So how did that change my life? Well, I started looking, nourished was almost like a mantra. So always going there. And that words do have a vibration. So the more I sink my teeth into the word nourished, the more I would find different ways to apply nourish into my life. So I looked into the way that I fed myself and I changed quite a few things about, my vitamins, my fruits and veggies intake, the right proteins for me. So nourishing my body, but it's also nourishing my body with love and care and the right moisturizers. Um, I bought some new makeup because my old makeup was like 10 years old and you're not supposed to keep your makeup that long. So I just replenished a few things. At the body level, I felt more nourished and cared for. Mentally, I read some books that really nourished my mind. So not just like little romance novels that are really like for entertainment. Still read one or two of those because once in a while that's what we need, right? But I was conscientious in choosing what I wanted to read, what I wanted to watch on TV, the podcasts that I listened to. Spiritually, I also hired coaches so that I can feel nourished and supported in my spiritual growth for the year, right? So even if Even with COVID, even with being isolated, even with my business completely changing, because, whose business did not change this year? Everybody's did. The outside circumstances don't matter because I can still work on nourishing myself no matter the outer circumstances. So that's kind of the beauty of having the one word. It doesn't depend on outer circumstances. It's something that you do for aligning yourself internally. And from the internal alignment, you align the outer alignment, right? So that's what's different. So, does that make sense for you? Let me know if this is making sense for you, if you're curious about getting your word of the year, and how it can work in your life. So, what you do with your word of the year is that you apply it to all of your decisions. So, as I mentioned, what you eat, so how you support your body, how you support your mind, how you support your spirit, and your emotions. And before saying yes to something or before saying no to something, you kind of go in and ask yourself, is this going to help me align with the energy of your word of the year? So for me, last year was nourished. So my question was always, before saying yes, before spending my money on coaching or in another program, I would ask myself, with this, am I feeling nourished? And if the answer was yes, and I felt it in my body, then I would go ahead. But if the answer was no, I feel depleted, then the answer was no. So it helps me kind of, call out different things in my life so that I'm always more aligned with what I want. So that's how you use it as a filter for your life. So do you have your word for this year already? If you have your word, put it in the comment below. I'd love to see your word for the year and how that can manifest. So that's the other thing with the word of the year, is that you don't necessarily have a specific outcome in mind, like a resolution. A resolution is something very tangible, like losing 10 pounds or being able to lift 50 pounds or be able to run to 3 miles, or it's something that's very tangible. It can be something with your relationship. It can be finding the right partner for you. It can, it's something that's kind of tangible. That's a resolution. The word of the year, you have to allow it to work its magic within you. So there's not really a specific outcome except the fact that you're totally aligned internally with your highest self, because that word of the year comes from your highest self. So that's kind of the difference. So by being fully aligned internally, spiritually, all the vibration, all the dimensions of yourself, you're so aligned. So of course you're going to have wonderful outcomes that you can't even think of right now because you haven't started walking on that path yet. So you can't see the end of the staircase yet. You're just at the first step. So your word is like you build your year step by step by step. So you have to kind of take your mind out of the picture, because it's not your mind that's going to be directing your energy. It really is your highest self. So when you sink into that word of the year, you're allowing your spirit, you're allowing your intuition, you're allowing your highest self to really lead the way. And that is going to give you some really magical outcomes. That makes sense? My word of the year this year, if you want to know, if you're curious, my word of the year is methodical. So that is not a word that I would normally use. Being methodical, I'm used to being more intuitive and more in the moment and more being in the flow and in the know. But this year, what really came up really big for me in my meditation that I normally do around the winter solstice is methodical. So you can bet your buns that it's going to influence everything in my business. Offers are going to change to be more methodical. There are likely going to be less in the moment spontaneous training, although I give myself permission to do so once in a while as well. But it's more about being, more methodical about things, more conscientious, more, being more in the moment, more conscious of the moment, and doing it step by step by step. And so bringing my clients and my students step by step in their journey as well. So that is a word of the year. How it's going to be in December 2021, I don't know. And that's okay, because the magic is in the not knowing and doing it anyway, because there's faith, there's the intuition, and the belief is there as well. So there you go. I shared my word of the year, which is methodical. I know that it's going to change things in my business, in the way that I run my house, in the way that I am in my relationships, the time with myself. So I'm applying it to all levels of my being, and I will allow the magic to happen. So, how are you planning your word of the year? Do share that in the comments. Can't wait to read you. And let's see what this year brings. Bye for now. Big love.